Sorry about this light. The sun is out in full force today. Since my last video, I think I've shot 3 weddings, 1 elopement, and a workshop in Orlando. I just announced another workshop in London the end of this September. But one of the things I always realize in the moment while teaching a workshop is all like the little nuggets of information that kind of pop up. Whether I have it in a slide as a prepared remark or just organically, more often than not, as a discussion or talking point that a question kind of takes me on a tangent in answering. But one of the things I finally wrote down and remembered just forever I've wanted to make a quick video about was why I like having a grip on my camera bodies. Now, this is also kind of surfaced to the top of my mind because I'm reviewing the Canon R5 Mark II. So far, my initial thoughts, not so good, but I'll save that for another video. But it brought me back to my days of shooting with the R6 because that had a grip that was modular and removable, just like the R5 Mark II has. And one of the questions I got asked during my workshop was why, if you shoot bounce flash, right, which I primarily do, bounce flash with the flash attached to my camera, why do I add the grip during that part of the wedding day? Doesn't that overall add weight to the entire rig? And don't you want the heaviness of the flash to be offset by just no grip? And it reminded me of a point I love making. And some of this might come down to personal preference, but I found it to be true with many other photographers who have switched over to this kind of approach. When you have no flash on your camera, pay really close attention of where the center of gravity is. It's very obvious when you change a lens, how longer lenses or lenses with a heavier front end kind of pull down to the front. Without a grip, shallower lenses, like I've got this old 85 on here, the center of gravity, it's more or less really well balanced. I don't have any kind of nagging pull for the front or the top of the camera to be pulling down, creating tension here along my wrist. If I swap to a longer lens or a lens with a heavier front element, I would start to feel that pull. Really no different when you add a flash. Now, 9 times out of 10, I am using a technique called bounce flash. So the flash head is kind of pointed back and behind me, but I know a lot of photographers like to use direct flash. Now you've got the flash head and the overall top heaviness of the flash weighing. It really doesn't take that much. I can feel it now, weighing down the front of the lens. And so my arm and my wrist, whatever this part of the wrist is constantly overcompensating to try and keep that balance. And for me, I found that, yeah, adding a battery grip does add weight to the overall unit in my hand, but the balance is much more back and at. And especially if you're shooting many hours on a dance floor where you're kind of up above people, you want to do whatever you can to lower the center of gravity, because when you're at an upward angle like this, you're still getting that front heaviness. So bounce flash with the flash head back behind me and a battery grip really creates a much more balanced center of gravity where I don't feel that front pull. And then there's one extra thing that I do. Last point I want to make is one reason I really like using the stock camera strap. When I'm shooting dance floor, I use my free hand to just steady the camera. Almost like I'm just about to like lob an arrow down at my subject. But I'm constantly just up and over people like this to, again, pull back and compensate for that front, heavier center of gravity. And overall, it's a little bit more balanced. And I have never had wrist problems. It's something I thought for sure. I grew up playing violin. I was constantly on computers. I majored in information and computer science. So I've just constantly been paranoid about developing wrist pain and having to wear one of those braces and gloves that a lot of people seem to need. And so right from the start in my photography career, I was very, very conscious to where tension would lie and how I was repeating certain movements while I was shooting. So that's really the entire point of this video. Try, if you have the ability with the camera you shoot, adding a battery grip, even if you're shooting with an extra weight of a flash on top, because it lowers the center of balance and I think enables a much more long-term and sustainable way to shoot, not just on the wedding day, but hopefully throughout your entire life. So that's all I'm going to share. I hope everybody's doing well. If you can make it out to the London workshop, there's definitely still spots. It's kind of a last-minute thing that I announced. I'm going to be in London anyway, and I just figured I would try and do a workshop. So hopefully I can see you there. And yeah, as always, thank you so much for your attention, and I'll be back soon. Bye, everyone.